After the horrendous bombing of the Baptist hospital in Gaza, Joe Biden has arrived in Israel. He has embraced the war criminal Netanyahu, and he said, quote, "It appears as though it was done by the other team, not you." A disgusting comment in line with the disgusting policy of US support for Israeli ethnic cleansing. Those who have given a green light to genocide by Israel, including Joe Biden, including von der Leyen, have blood on their hands. And the denial of Israel is just part and parcel of the regular propaganda machine. They denied killing Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. They blamed it on the Palestinians for months. In 2022, they denied a strike killing 5 children in Gaza, blaming it on Islamic Jihad before having to admit it. This is just what they do. We should believe them when they told us what they were going to do. When the army spokesperson said, quote, "The emphasis is on damage and not on accuracy." When the defence minister said, "We will eliminate everything." When they gave written threats repeatedly to hospitals in Gaza saying, "We're going to bomb you." We should believe them. When the Israeli ambassador on the RT radio this morning denied doing it, but said Israel has the right to bomb hospitals in Gaza. It's time for action, Taoiseach. It's time to expel the Israeli ambassador.
President Joe Biden's statement regarding the bombing of the hospital in Gaza was from a misfired Palestinian rocket is totally ridiculous and absurd. Why should there be any doubt that the blast of the Al-Ahli Arab hospital is from an Israeli airstrike? The murderous regime had been attempting to wipe Palestinians and Gaza out of existence since last week. In fact, Israel had been after the Palestinians all the time, if not wipe out the Palestinians altogether. For the past 70 years, and suddenly now, after launching airstrikes day and night, Israel blames Palestinians for the blast on the hospital. Biden's narrative is based on feedbacks from Netanyahu and the Pentagon. Obviously, Netanyahu lies about everything. And if Biden wants to use Pentagon to give credence to his narrative, we have not forgotten how Pentagon and other American institutions lied about the existence of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
So Spain has actually been pretty consistent in calling for peace in Gaza. And today their Minister for Social Rights got super based, saying there are 4 things that European countries should do in regards to Israel. Number 1, suspend diplomatic relations. Number 2, implement strong sanctions. Number 3, impose an arms embargo. And number 4, bring Netanyahu to The Hague to be prosecuted for war crimes. She is not messing around, and in a world that made sense, that's what European countries would demand. Israel has committed unbelievable crimes against the Palestinian civilians who they're keeping in an open-air prison, in a situation where 97% of the water is undrinkable, and you could be hit by a US-funded missile strike at any moment. But we know most European countries won't do this. They'll continue to do what the US wants them to, supporting the Israeli apartheid regime and turning a blind eye to all their crimes. That's just what Western imperialist capitalist regimes do. They love their little neo-colonial outpost in the Middle East. That's what Israel is to them, and that's why Joe Biden says if Israel didn't exist, we'd have to create it.
I think we are starting to see the beginning of people tired with the bullshit. You have the senior State Department official who has been overseeing arms sales resigning after Biden, approached when it comes to Israel and Palestine. He did an interview with the Huffington Post right after, and essentially he's like, he couldn't shift anything. He couldn't push for a more humane policy. They literally want to start a war. He actually posted his resignation, I believe, to his Facebook. You guys can pause to read. You also have a journalist from the BBC resigning, essentially doing it on professional consciousness, i.e., he is not here for the propaganda. You then had the UN Human Rights Committee yesterday, where damn near half the room turned their back to U.S. Ambassador Michelle Taylor. And then you have the Minister of Social Rights for Spain calling out Israel and essentially pushing the government of Spain to cut ties and impose sanctions. Not only that, they got Italy in on this too, so the country is starting to turn on them.
Experts believe there are about 6,500 bodies of Palestinian men, women, and children trapped beneath the rubble, which then leads them to believe that the number of Palestinians that have been killed exceeds 10,000. Now, you may or may not have heard about this already, but this man right here is Josh Paul, and he worked for the State Department. In fact, he spent more than 11 years as the director of Congressional and Public Affairs at the bureau that oversees arms transfers to foreign nations. Just yesterday, he posted to his LinkedIn that he resigned and included a letter of explanation. In his letter, he wrote, "Let me be clear, Hamas's attack on Israel was not just a monstrosity, it was a monstrosity of monstrosities. I also believe that potential escalations by Iran-linked groups such as Hezbollah or by Iran itself would be a further cynical exploitation of the existing tragedy. But I believe to the core of my soul that the response Israel is taking, and with it the American support both for that response and for the status quo of the occupation, will only lead to more and deeper suffering for both the Israeli and the Palestinian people, and is not in the long-term American interest." He made it very clear that he cannot work to support a set of policy decisions that include sending over arms, which he believes to be short-sighted, destructive, unjust, and contradictory to the very values that we publicly espouse. We've talked about this now so many times. Palestinians have been suffering for years, and the only people that had really been talking about it or standing up for them really just felt like Middle Easterns and Arabs. And now there's a shift. There's definitely a shift. I mean, this man took a stance. He said what's happening is not okay. He walked away from his job. I really feel like there's hope for the future.
What is happening in Gaza right now at the hands of the Israeli government is not self-defense. This is genocide. It is a war crime, and the world will hold Israel accountable. I will hold Israel accountable as an American whose tax dollars go to the tune of $3.3 billion to buy your bombs. Believe you me, I will continue to speak out against my country for funding Israel, as will all decent Americans. And this movement will grow, and we will defund Israel. And hopefully we'll prosecute them for war crimes, because you are enabling the genocide of a people, and the world will not stand for it. That's just the reality of this situation. You can continue to think we will, but we won't. We are going to stand up for terror on all fucking sides to end. All sides. We can condemn what Hamas has done, and in the same breath, we can condemn what Israel has done and is doing now. And we will continue to do so, and your money will dry up. I can promise you that.
Were they expecting the same American response that they received after 9/11? Were we just supposed to blindly hate Arabs again? Y'all woke us up the last time y'all pulled this bullshit. Never again.